Hi, this is Chuck Gardner, and this is another one of my boring golf tutorials. It's been a while since I've done one because I've been busy doing yard work. I've cleared the back 40 here. But I wanted to pick up on what I was talking about in the last ones about balance and posture and relate that to swing plane and grip. Trying to connect the dots of the different techniques. Gonna go wider on the camera here so you can see the whole body. You're gonna see the reflectors I have here for fill, but that's part of the exercise. All right, I would like to always start lessons with the goal, and the goal of this is try to connect the dots between grip, how the arms fold, and swing plane. But your setup starts with finding your balanced posture. I've talked about how you want to sort of sit down on the insides of your, so the weight is on the insides of your shoes, on your insteps. So you're able to rock a little bit, not a lot, but just enough so you feel a rocking motion from inside on pressure on the inside of your foot here at address, and then flat at the top of your backswing. And then you're going to be on the inside of your lead foot as you turn your hips. And then as you come back, you're going to roll the opposite direction. So by setting up on the inside at address, this gives you dynamic motion in your swing. If you just stand slack-legged and flat-footed, you can't move your body dynamically. So it's important to start with proper setup with weight on your feet. The next fundamental is grip. You need to have the base of your lead thumb on the center of the shaft with the base of your trail thumb on the top. Why is that important? That is important because that when you lower the club and straighten your arms, that will cause counter tension that will give you good pressure that will keep your grip intact and your lead arm straight. Now, finding static balance, I did a drill where I showed leaning against the post until you can lean forward and everything is in balance so you can do happy feet and feel the weight at your feet. That is also important because if you do not start your swing in balance, how is it ever going to stay in balance? The biggest mistake I see people do is they lay the club down and say, oh, I think it should be this far away. There's rules of thumb like you should lay it like this far away. But then the club gets too far away from your hands. If you put it up in your hands, grip it with your overlapping bases of the thumbs and lower it, what you get is good balance. The club finds its own natural balance. It'll swing, your hands will hinge naturally. The whole goal of the Varden grip and overlapping these thumbs is get the hands to act like a hinge without pulling them out or in as the club turns over. This is what keeps you on the consistent swing path. Now, what makes your arms fold is controlled by how strong or weak your grip is on the hands. I do not like ambiguous terms like strong or weak because this is strong with this hand and that's strong with other hands. What you should do is talk about counterclockwise or clockwise rotation. From where I'm standing, this is clockwise rotation of the lead arm. This is counterclockwise. So what you do is you get the bases of the thumbs at 12 o'clock, and what happens is this lead thumb winds up at about 12:30. This one ends up at about 11:30, and you get a good turnover of the club. And what you get in the backswing is a consistent folding action of the arm. Now here I'm standing upright. I haven't found my balanced posture. This is about where I am with this 7-iron for posture, and this will cause my arm to fold while it's still very close to my body and turn and that gives me a relatively flat swing plane. Now, on the other side of the swing, this position of your lead hand is going to control how your lead arm folds in the finish. Now, golfers on the Pro Tour today are extending way into their finish, but as I've mentioned in previous videos, whatever goes forward and pulls you off balance has to be compensated with side bend. This is a great swing if you have a long torso or you're in your 20s, but if you're 45 years old and overweight, that's not a good swing style. What I would suggest you try, and it's facilitated by having your thumbs overlapping, the bases of your thumbs overlapping on the center of the grip, is a swing where you come down, straighten your arms through impact, and then immediately after impact, your lead arm starts folding in. See how my lead arm is folding in like this? That's how Freddie Couples swung his club in his prime. And to get there, you have to straighten your arms early through impact, which if you saw my last video, when you do that, it locks up the wrists, so you get very consistent ball striking. Then what's going to happen, though, is that your club is going to immediately want to turn over and come up, but you guide that by allowing your lead arm to fold and the club to pull this arm straight. When you feel the tug, I come down, release the club through impact, and at this point, the center of rotation for my hands has shifted from my lead arm to my spine, and now as this folds, the center of rotation for my hands moves from my spine to my trail shoulder, and this acts like a brake on the club. The reason Freddie Couples had such a slow, relaxed looking swing was that he came down and chopped wood to here, but then he allowed his lead arm to fold early and the club to pull this straight. And when I feel the tug of the club on this shoulder, it's pulling my shoulder around to my chin. That's the point I let my shoulder rotate with my chin, but I keep my nose lined up with my spine, and I try to come out of the swing like this, looking at the horizon cockeyed, rather than I see a lot of recreational golfers. They come up and immediately do this. Well, if you come up and do that, what you're doing is pulling the face of the club open, and if you've had an inside-out swing and then come up like that, it will result in a hook. But if you didn't keep your head out down and come in early, it'll open up the face, get your hands too far ahead, and you'll slice. What you need to do, and again, this is not going to be a swing for a 20-year-old who's trying to hit the driver 400 yards, but for the 45-year-old guy who's just happy to keep it in the fairway and hit 200 yards or 220. This action here of keeping your head down until you feel this, then what happens is if you get the club out to here, what happens next is this. It comes up, cocks the wrist, and comes back around your shoulder instead of whipping around and putting so much strain on your lower back. So That's the connecting of the dots in this video. It has to start with the feet, getting dynamic movement in your feet, in your stance, sitting down a little bit knock-kneed to do that, getting the weight biased on your heels so you can do happy feet at address, then getting your bases of your thumbs centered, because that's what's going to cause this action here in your arms, which will give you the folding action you need. The critical thing and the mistake, I see recreational golfers, most of them, they're gripping the club underhanded. That works really good, too good, bringing the club back, because that's why it cocks too far inside and they come over the top. But in the finish, if you have your hand underhanded and low, it's impossible to get this arm bent. That's why this centered thumbs thing is so critical, because that's what allows the arms to fold the same way on either side of your body. And again, this is not a modern swing for a 20-year-old, but if you're older than 40, I'm 74 and doing it, and I hit shots when I'm on my game and I hit iron shots, you know, my playing partners are saying, wow, because they just look like a pro trajectory. I played on Wednesday, and on the final hole, it was cart path only. So I put my drive down by the cart path on this side. Then I had to lay up. It was a par 5. I had to lay up, and I hit a 5-iron with a fade to a specific target that I knew would put me 110 yards away from the green, which is my pitching wedge yardage. And I hit that shot perfect, landed it right where I wanted to, and then I put the ball on the green 10 feet away from the pin, and then 3-putted as usual. But, you know, that's my putting game. That's an entirely different story. But, so, again, you know, I'm not trying to convert anybody to swinging like me. I'm just throwing out ideas to try, if you are struggling with the way you're doing things now and not getting consistent results, try something different. There's no risk in change. You can always go back to the way you did it before. So, again, thanks for watching, and stay tuned next time when I get my next brainstorm.